everyone, welcome back. Today I'll be creating this two-piece for my friend's birthday party at a resort in Ghana. I decided to create a balloon skirt and pair it with a twisted front top and of course puffy sleeves to add to the drama. I'll be creating this entire look using just a needle and a thread. So join me as I bring this design to life. Results will be posted at the end, so let's get started. I'll begin by marking all my vertical measurements. I had initially marked them, but then I decided to use a marker so the lines will be more visible. From my shoulder line, I'll go down and mark my chest line, my underbust line and my waistline, and I'll connect the dots together. I'm going to go ahead and label this line so we don't get confused. Shoulder line, chest line, underbust line, and waistline. On the shoulder line, I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement and I'm using 7.5. I'm also going to go ahead and put the same 7.5 on my chest line and connect. Now on that line, I'll come down by 1 inch, and from that 1 inch point, I'll get my middle point and I'll go in by half an inch. On my chest line, I'm going to take my round bust measurement divided by 4, which is 10.5. So now I'm just going to connect these 3 points together to create my arm curve. On the waistline, I'm going to take my waist round divided by 4 and I'm using 8. I'll add 1 inch for my sewing allowance. And on the chest line, I'll also add 1 inch for sewing allowance. And I'm going to connect the 2 points together. On the chest line, I'll go up by about 2 inches and from the shoulder line, come down by about 7 inches. If you want more coverage, then go up from the chest line by about 4 inches or 5 inches. I'll also be adding half an inch because I'll be lining this top. Initially, I wanted this top to get to my waist, but while I was creating this pattern, I decided to make the top stop under my bust. So on the under bust line, I'm going to go down by 1 inch and I'll add half an inch for my lining allowance. And I'll connect the lines together. So this line here is my joining allowance and this is the new length of the top. And yeah, that is all for the pattern, so go ahead and cut this out. Moving on to creating the back of the top, I'm going to be coming in by the edge of the paper by 1 inch. I hadn't decided at this point if I wanted to use buttons or zip, but initially I wanted to use a zip and then ended up using buttons instead. So if you want to use buttons as well, please use 2 inches at the edge of the paper. So go ahead and trace out the front pattern and cut this out. And this is all you need for your back pattern. Moving forward, I'll be duplicating this front pattern because you'll need it later for cutting out the lining. Next up, I'm going to create slashes. Because we're going to slash and spread this front piece. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and number my pattern so I don't get confused when I'm spreading. Now, following my numbering, I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. The next step is to place the slashed pieces on a different piece of paper. I'm starting off with number 1, and I'm going to be putting number 1 on my starting line. And from this first piece, I'll measure 1.5 inches outwards and place number 2. From number 2, I'm also going to measure 1.5 inches outwards and place number 3. You want to do this for the rest of the pattern pieces. After I've completely placed all the pieces together, I'll go ahead and outline my pattern, following the same shape my original pattern had. After that is completed, I'll just cut this out, and this is going to be my new front piece. These are the 3 patterns that you need for your top. This is the back piece, and if you're using a zip, please don't forget 1 inch, or if you're using buttons just like I did, please make it 2 inches or 2.5 inches. I have my front piece and I have my second front piece which I'm going to be using as lining. Now for the skirt pattern, I'm going to start by getting my waistline, and from this waistline, I'll go down and mark my hip line and connect the dots together. Afterwards, I'll take my waist round, which is 8, and I'll add 1 inch for allowance. I'll get my hip round measurement and add 1 inch for allowance. I'll go ahead and use my French curve to connect these lines together. From the waistline, I'm going to go down by about 6 inches, and that is going to be my new skirt length. Initially, I wanted to use the hip line, but I decided that that would be too long, so I'm just going to come down by 6 inches from my waistline. I'll connect the lines together. I'll also add half an inch for joining the bottom part of the skirt, and I'll add half an inch to the waistline, and this is for joining the lining, and that is all for the skirt pattern. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. Now moving on to the sleeve, I have a detailed tutorial on how to create this sleeve pattern, so please check that out before continuing. Taking another piece of paper, I'll place my sleeve block on top, and maintaining the center line, I'll trace it out. Now for the length of my sleeve, I'm using 2 times of what my average short sleeve is, which is 7 inches times 2, so I'll be using 14 inches. And I'll also add 1.5 inches for my folding allowance. Now I'm going to measure what I have here and apply it down here. I have about 8.5 here, so I'm going to go ahead and mark 8.5 here and square up. This now becomes my new sleeve. I'll take the excess away here. Afterwards, I'll create slash lines on this new pattern. So please make as many slashes as you want, and don't forget to number them. After that, you can cut this out. So just like I slashed for the top pattern, I'm going to do the same thing for the sleeve. I'll take my first piece and I'll sellotape that down. I'm going to be using 3-inch space between each strips. So if you want a fuller sleeve, you can use up to 5 inches. But if you want your sleeves to not be too full, you can use about 1.5 or 2 inches. It just depends on whatever you want. So now that that is done, I'm going to recreate my sleeve by connecting the tip of each strip together to create my full sleeve. Go ahead and cut this out. After cutting, you don't need these strips anymore, so take those out. And this is going to be the new sleeve. I've cut out my back piece on fabric, and I cut out 4 of this. I also cut out my front and it's on fold, and the lining is also on fold with the same fabric. I've also cut out my sleeve on the fabric. For the first step of sewing, I'm going to take my front piece and I'm going to gather this side. While gathering, please take note of the original size of the front pattern and gather along that size. To make sure that your gathers are not too long or too short, use the original front pattern as a guide. Now, taking my lining piece, facing them right sides together, I'll sew along this top part. I'll also be doing the same thing for my back piece. Joining the lining right sides together, I'll sew along the top parts. For my sleeve, I'm going to sew along the top here. I'll open up my sleeve to the wrong side. I'll fold in once or twice, leaving about 1 inch space for my elastic band. I'll also do the same thing for the bottom parts, leaving about 1 inch space for my elastic band to pass through. I've gone ahead to pin my fabric down so I can sew quickly and easily. I'm done joining my linings together, so I'll take my front piece and I'll take my back piece. Right sides facing, I'll join the sides of the top together. But before sewing, I'm going to pin this down and take my sewing allowance of 1 inch, and I'll be taking this 1 inch on both sides. After joining the front piece to the back piece, this is what it should come out looking like. So you want to go ahead and iron this so you can have a clean finish. Next, I'm going to be closing this top at the bottom here. I'll flip it inside out, and using 0.5 inches, I'll finish off at the bottom. To be able to flip this back to the right side, on the back of the top, you want to leave about 1.5 inches so you can use that space to turn this top inside out. Okay, after flipping, this is what you should end up with. Now, on that opening that you used to turn your top, you're just going to stitch that close. Okay guys, we're almost done with this top. You want to find the front of the top and you want to twist once and twist again. So you'll be twisting 2 times to get that front twist effect. And that is all for the top, guys. So just go ahead and insert your zip or your button or whatever you want to use to close this up, and that's all. Look how pretty this is. I use pins to hold this down so I can see what it looks like, and oh my god, it's so stunning. Attaching the sleeves to the top is so easy. After you've sewn down the top part and the bottom part of the sleeve, you just want to go ahead and insert your elastic band. And after inserting your elastic band, just go ahead and sew it to the top. And that's all. Now moving on to creating the bottom part, which is the balloon part of the skirt. I'm going to show you in details how to get those information. Now for the length of the remaining part of the skirt, where the balloon effect will be attached, that's what I'll start with. The total length I want is 15 inches. 15 inches is the total length that I want to use. So I'll measure what I have here. I have 6 inches here. So from 15 inches, I'm going to take out 6 inches. Please measure yourself so you can know what your skirt's length will be. So now, taking out 6 inches, I'll be left with 9 inches. So that 9 inches, I'm going to add 4 to it. Please, whatever figure you get, just add 4 to that figure and that will be your length. Now for the width, I'm going to measure what I have down here. I have 11.2. Taking out the 1 inch, I'll have 10.2. That is the 1 inch that I added for sewing allowance. I'll be left with 10.2. Now this 10.2, I'm going to multiply it by 4 because remember your hip measurement was divided by 4. So you're going to have to multiply that back by 4 so you can get the full hip circumference. So after doing that, I have 40.8. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 inches to that 40.8. And that 2 inches is going to serve as my zip allowance. And I'll be left with 42.8. Now to get the full width of the bottom of the skirt, I'm going to multiply that figure by 2. But if you want something fuller, then you can multiply by 3. So that figure multiplied by 2, I'll get 85.6. And that is what I'll cut out for the width of my skirt. Now, moving on to the lining. I'll start off by finding the length. Now, the length I'm going to use is the same figure that I have, and I'll subtract 7. So for whatever you get, just minus 7 from it. And for the width, I'll use the same width that I have here, which is 85.6, and that is all you need for the lining. So I've gone ahead to cut out on my fabric, and this is what it'll look like. The length, which is 13 inches, is what I cut out on this side. and it's on fold. It's on the full length. But if your fabric is not enough, go ahead and join. It doesn't matter. Now for the width, I've gone ahead to cut out 85.6 inches. It looks short because I folded it up. So the lining is also 85.6 inches, just like we calculated. And that's all you need. I've also cut out this pattern, which is the top part of my skirt. This is the front, which is on fold, and this is the back with my zip allowance included. So the first thing you want to do is take your lining and placing it right sides facing, you want to put this at the bottom of your skirt. So whichever section you're using as the bottom, that is where you want to place the lining first. So you're going to go ahead and create pleats at the bottom here. The pleats can be normal size, they can be very small, they can be big pleats, or they can even be gathers as well. So just depends on what you want to do. So now I've gone ahead to stitch that together, and this is what you should have when you're done. Now what you're going to do is, on the wrong side, you want to take the lining and pull it up to the top of the skirt. So you want to pull it up like this and make a gather stitch up here. So we're going to be gathering this top part together. I'm also going ahead to attach the top part of my skirt out of camera because the video is getting too long. So when you're done, this is what the skirt should look like. And this is the back of the skirt where you have that joining. So you want to flip it to the right side. And now right side to right side, you want to place it together and stitch. When you're done, this is what your full outfit should look like. I am obsessed with this look. I had an amazing time. I look absolutely gorgeous. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.